We'd like to welcome everyone to the 71st annual Bob Ufer Quarterback Club outing. We've got the old man who's up there with DC and Bo and old Tommy Harmon and Rob Lytle, and they're smiling down from football's Valhalla as we've got ourselves one glorious day.
Now I want to show one of the great videographers, his piece that he did on Bob Ufer. Art, if we can look at the screen.
He competed wearing the Block M and knew what that felt like. Knew as a Michigan man how important and how passionate it was for those young men playing football. And by getting the job to broadcast their games, he made sure everyone else out there that heard his voice knew that same thing. As a player, when you come in here and you don't have a lot of history with Michigan and its athletic department, you're just interested in playing football. Getting opportunity to play in games, start, play in the big house. And you don't really realize the history. And once you get to understand, we got this crazy announcer that does the games for WPAG in Ann Arbor.
This is WPAG, Ann Arbor, Michigan.
He's an insurance salesman, and wow, isn't he crazy? And then someone tells you, you know, he was a world record holder in the 440, and he actually went to school here, was teammates and friends with Tom Harmon, and all of a sudden, Bob Ufer became more than an announcer. His persona became larger. His persona became more steeped in Michigan tradition because in the past, he had experienced it. He had grown with it. He had been the guy that had worn the Block M on the winner's podium. That kind of thing to a young kid playing football gives him tons of credibility so that now when you heard him do the games, you realize where that passion came from. When Michigan beat Indiana, you take a listen to that end of that game, and it is one play with 5 seconds left to go. Took, I think, a minute and 25 or 30 seconds of real-time broadcasting to get him from the end of the game to a break. For about 10 seconds, all you heard was this. You didn't hear anything but that. Ufer was going nuts. That's when he got off into football's Valhalla, and Bo Schembech were looking up and saying,
"Thank you, Fielding Yost. Thank you, Fielding Yost, for that one. Look at the crowd. You cannot believe it. Michigan throws a 45-yard touchdown pass. Johnny Wrangler to Anthony Carter will be heard until another 100 years of Michigan football is played."
Of course, the entire team buried Anthony Carter down at the end zone after he scored with no time left on the clock against Indiana in a homecoming game against the Hoosiers. As long as there is Michigan football, there's only one voice of Michigan football, and that voice is Bob Ufer. Even though it's been silent, it lives on in everybody that comes to these games and anybody that has ever heard his broadcasts on a piece of tape from 30 years ago. We can't let him be forgotten.
Bob Ufer. Bob Ufer. Bob Ufer.
Bob Ufer.
Bob Ufer.
Bob Ufer.
Bob Ufer.
Bob Ufer.
Bob Ufer. Bob Ufer.
Bob Ufer.
Bob Ufer.
Bob Ufer.
Bob Ufer. Bob Ufer.
He just literally outran him. And did you see him climbing those pearly stairs as he neared the goal line? Just sort of prancing in there, like Dennis Franklin did against Ohio State.
He reminded me of Bob Ufer when he used to finish the 440 race.
Well, that's when the glacier went over this part of the state.
Fellas, I ask you from this point on, think victory, beat Washington. You've got 60 minutes of football and a lifetime to remember.
Thank you, Art. Very nice. And for those who are interested, Dan Chase was the producer of the documentary that is going to come out on homecoming weekend. And it was great to talk about Bob Ufer because I think everything that we talk about here at Michigan, you build on that great tradition. Probably the one award that is kind of it's not a current athlete. It's normally a former athlete, administrator, somebody who's done so much for this program. And it is the Oosterbaan Award. And we've had some great people being named to it. And then tonight we do have a great person being named. His name is Jim Timmons. Mr. Timmons. Of course, Robbie Timmons is his wife, and he's been known as Mr. Timmons all his life. But Jim Brandstatter is, of course, the recipient today of the Oosterbaan. And I think what's interesting is that Jim has taken over the play-by-play reins of the Wolverine broadcast on the Michigan Football Network. And it's not easy, by the way, jumping from the color position to the play-by-play position. But Jim has done an outstanding job doing that. But get away from that portion of it, and get away from the fact that he played here. Get away from the fact that his family was almost all Spartans, and Jimmy came on up here to play. Jim is just one of the great guys. I'm serious. I'm not blowing smoke here, folks. I love this guy. Jim Brandstatter is the type of guy that has the integrity. He'd take the shirt off the back to give it to you if you needed it. He will do anything for this program. He will do anything for his friends and his family. He is truly, truly one of the finest individuals that I know, and I'm just glad that I'm up there doing the statistics for him in Deerdorf. They asked me why is he still doing the statistics. Brandstatter told him, Marty, we're going to try to see if you get it right this year. So Jimmy is trying to keep that going, and I'm glad he's doing it for me. But before we get into bring Jimmy up here, let's take a quick video of and see what we've got with Jim Brandstatter.
We're going to kick ass and take names.
I hope you can hear me.
Every fiber of my body will be rooting for the University of Michigan. Signed, Jerry Ford.
I don't believe it. Frank Beckman can't stop laughing at his own Rodgers and Hammerstein joke. Too bad we're not playing Oklahoma.
There's a new generation now being introduced to your father. I don't want to sound like I'm an old guy here, but you are. Folks at home watching television, a play-by-play on that one is perfect. Spate in the shotgun. Straight back to throw. Got time. Throws over the middle. Caught by Perry. The 20, the 10, the 5. Dives. Scores. Grant Perry. Touchdown, Michigan.
Michigan Replay with Lloyd Carr. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Michigan Replay. I'm Jim Brandstatter. 27-3 the final. Michigan over Colorado. You're in a pretty good mood today, aren't you?
Hey, don't miss next week's show. Michigan goes on the road to take on Maryland. We'll have all the action right here next week on Inside Michigan Football. Breaks it around the left side, got some room. He's at the 40. He's at midfield, breaking over to the right, in front of the Air Force bench, down to the 30, down to the 20, and down to the 5, and into the end zone. Touchdown, DPJTD. With 12:06 left to play in the first half, have now moved out to a 7-0 lead over Rutgers here at Michigan Stadium on Thanksgiving. Thanks very much, Brian. By the way, I want to apologize. Everybody said Thanksgiving. Well, the reason I did that is everybody knows it's the 4th of July. Would you let me finish? The reason I did is because I had a wonderful turkey wrap at Richard Calderazzo's tailgate today, and it kind of gave me the feeling in the spirit of Thanksgiving. So I just misspoke. You're not buying it? Tony just said, I'll tell you what nobody's buying. You eating a turkey wrap. That's what nobody's buying. Hey, Tony just said Merry Christmas. Was it a deep fried turkey wrap? No. I'm eating healthy. It was a fresh turkey wrap with tomatoes and lettuce. And it was very tasty, I might add. So, well, happy Thanksgiving to you, too. It's homecoming, everyone.
But I love college football. I just love it.
Hey, John, you want to call one? Come on.
I will
we'll
try.
give you a play-by-play.
I will try one.
John Beeline with his audition as
like
a play-by-play voice of Michigan football.
Okay.
The man who hosted Michigan Replay, Inside Michigan Football, Michigan Sportscaster of the Year twice, the Ty Tyson Award in 2006 for excellent in broadcast by the Detroit Sports Broadcasters Association, and an author of 2 nonfiction books, one of the really good guys, and winner of the Oosterbaan Award, Jim Brandstatter. Come on up here, Jim. They told me I had to make sure I read this, but there's not much on it, so I can do it. Benny Oosterbaan Award presented by Bob Ufer Quarterback Club to Jim Brandstatter, May 7th, 2018. And for those of you who don't know Benny Oosterbaan was one of our great athletes, one of the only 2 men in Michigan football history to have won the All-American Award 3 times. Anthony Carter, the only other one. Jimmy, here's your award. Congratulations.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you very much. Good job. Thank you very, very much, everybody. I can't tell you how much this means to me, the Oosterbaan Award. I'll get into that. The video, Art Vuolo, God bless you. Seriously, most times you're a pain in the ass, but today you did real good. And hauling out that stuff when I had hair, God, that's going deep into the record books there. Deep into the record books. People call me the voice of Michigan football. That's not true. There is only one voice of Michigan football. There will be only one voice of Michigan football, and that's Bob Ufer. As long as I'm calling play-by-play or involved in the broadcasts, Bob Ufer's name will not die. And this banquet is another reason why that name won't die. The reason this is so important to me and why I thank you is simple. History. The history you all are helping continue. I can't thank you enough. Believe me, this is going in the office, and it's going to take a prominent place there. God bless you all, and God bless Bob Ufer.
I'm just glad for Jim's sake that we have that winning history, since he also has to do the Detroit Lions. But there are a couple of other things I want to talk about quickly before. And number one, I want to recognize an individual. We've already recognized him one year up here. But Art Vuolo has been named this year as he's been the recipient of the Talker's Lifetime Achievement Award. He is literally a videographer and a pop culture historian. And his Lifetime Achievement Award is because of over 1,000 videos, and you got more than that, but there's going to be an entire library will be featured in the National Radio Hall of Fame in Chicago. But Art, one of the great friends of the University of Michigan and great friend of the Ufer Quarterback Club, and thank you, Art, for everything you do. Good job. Thank you very much. Okay. These are some great people. I've been very fortunate to be a PR guy at the University of Michigan, and you don't have to be very good to be a PR guy here because you got athletes like this behind you and coaches like that. But all these people that we've seen tonight, from Caitlin, PJ, Gabby, Austin, and then Mike, they are the ones, and I think you got some great stories from them, and you understand why they won the Ufer Spirit Award. Thank you again for a very, very fun and interesting and inspiring evening. Thank you.